Today I'm looking at the WizMaker Artisan01, which is a desktop CNC machine that WizMaker sent over for me to review. Whenever I get a new piece of equipment, the first thing I do is jump on YouTube to see how to put it together and how to operate it, and I hope you can use this video to do the same. Before we get into that, I wanted to point out some of the key features of the equipment this kit comes with. Starting at the base, the work area is about 16.5 by 16.5 inches, and the one thing I really like here is the hold down system. There are plenty of mounting points, and while I was using this machine, I always felt that the material was always very secure. On the X-axis assembly, there's a built-in light I really enjoyed. It might seem like a small thing, but when I was setting my X and Y coordinates, it really helped me see the edges of my material easier. The spindle can go up to 12,000 RPM and uses a 1/8 inch collet. According to WizMaker, the setup can mill aluminum, PVC, and hardwood without any modification. The kit does come with an engraving bit set, which I used for several engraving jobs in this video. I did end up purchasing a variety of additional 1/8 inch diameter bits so I could focus more on milling projects, and they also worked out great. All this is controlled through this manual controller, and this is where you'll do most of your jogging, homing, and fine positioning. I did find the dial system easy to use, but I wish it allowed for greater movement than 10mm increments. And then finally there's this tool setter, which was great to use. In the past I've broken plenty of bits by jogging the Z-axis too quickly, and this made setting the Z height easy, especially on projects that require multiple tool changes. The one thing I really enjoyed about this kit was how easy it was to put together. The manual only mentions 7 steps, and it's incredibly straightforward. The first step is placing the X-axis assembly into the slots on the base. I kept one screw in hand to loosely hold it in place while I moved on to the next step. On the outer sections, you'll install 2 screws on the outer holes, and on the inner section, you will install 2 screws on the middle holes, and you'll repeat this process on both sides. Next, you'll remove the screw on the cable clamp so you can secure the wiring, and then after that, you'll connect the cable to the X-axis motor. From there, you'll secure the cable trap to the bracket on this side using 3 screws. Then you'll use another 3 screws to attach it to the Z-axis assembly. You may need to shift some of the wiring around slightly to access these mounting holes. Next, insert the wires into the corresponding color connectors. You may need to pull a little bit of slack from the cable track to make these connections. After that, you'll connect this cable to the Y-axis motor. Then it's time to install the spindle. Before tightening it down, you can rotate it within the bracket to give yourself a little bit more room when you connect the power cable. Lastly, you need to secure the controller handle using the remaining screws. Overall, the entire assembly took me less than 30 minutes, and that's including the time that I had to leave the workshop to get some screws that I left in the box at home. Alright, I just turned this on, and this alarm started going off, so I connected the control panel. It has an error that immediately came on, and it just says that this is the first power on, so we need to go through its first homing before we do anything. We'll cut this tie, the emergency. Just in case. Alright. Push OK. To access the menu on the controller, you'll keep the left knob set to off and then navigate by rotating the bottom knob and pressing it in to select your options. From the home screen, you can view the machine's coordinates, pause the job while it's running, or start a CNC G-code file directly from a USB drive. By selecting Menu, you can manually start the spindle, home the machine by selecting H-Home, and set your X, Y, and Z zeros by selecting Clear X, Y, or Z. You can also manually move the machine to the Set X, Y, or Z coordinates using the Go To option. On this menu screen, you'll also access the tool setting by selecting TS, as well as the center calibration feature by selecting center. At any time, you can rotate the left knob to select the X, Y, or Z axis to adjust the machine's position. The right knob controls the step size, which allows you to change how far the machine moves with each adjustment using the bottom knob. The CNC machine is controlled using a software called Candle, which is included on the USB drive that comes with the kit. To get the software ready, you're going to extract the Candle folder onto your computer and then launch the Candle application. Before using it for your first time, you'll want to extract the CH340 driver folder and run the setup file to install the updated driver. With the CNC connected to your computer using the supplied USB cable, open Candle and click Settings to connect to the correct port. If it doesn't connect automatically after refreshing, you can check your device manager to identify the correct COM port. In Candle, you can override both the spindle speed and the feed rate during a job, and I personally prefer using Candle over running files directly from the USB because having that control helps reduce the chances of crashes. For my first engraving, I'm using one of the test programs included in the USB, which has a note that outlines the recommended tool. This is also my first time testing the tool setter. To use it, attach the clip to the tool, place the setter block on the work surface where you want to set your Z-axis, and then select TS from the menu. The machine will automatically probe the tool and set the Z coordinate for you. Next, I'll show you how to use the center finding function, which is especially useful when you're milling round stock. First, I use the controller to locate the far left side of the circle and then lock in the first X coordinate. Then, staying on the same axis, I move to the far right side of the circle and then record the second X coordinate. I repeat the same process for the y-axis and making sure that the 2 points are symmetrical to each other. Once all 4 reference points are set, I select Calculate, and then I press Go To twice. This moves the machine to the newly calculated center point. After that, I go back, and then I clear the X and Y coordinates to set my work origin at the center of the part. Because this part is really small and the hold downs would block the tool setter, I set my Z0 from the bottom of the part in Fusion 360, and this gave me consistent results for this job. When post-processing the G-code, I changed the post-processor to Drupal, and it worked out without any issue. This was my first time engraving aluminum, so I played it safe and I ran the job slowly to avoid damaging any of the tools. I even reduced the feed rate even further in the Candle application. Here I'm milling my touch mark using 2 different tools that I bought. And then on the back side of this coin, I engraved my business name using the engraving bits that are included in the kit. Overall, I was really happy how this turned out, and using the center finding function made it really easy to flip the part over and then still get a very accurate alignment. For a machine like this, I'd highly recommend checking out Easel. They have a large library of projects that are already created and you can try them right away, and everything translates easy to this machine. I'd also recommend making some accessories for the machine itself. Things like additional hold downs or tool holders. It's a great way to practice while creating something that you'll use on for future projects. Easel software is really easy to use, completely free, and it exports nicely into Candle. Overall, this machine was a lot of fun to use. If you slow down your feed rates and are fine milling with a 1/8 inch bit, you can still accomplish some impressive detailed work. WizMaker also offers several add-ons for the Artisan01, which includes a vice clamp, dust collection system, a more powerful spindle, and a 4th axis. I'd highly recommend the dust collection system if you're running this at your home. And if you end up trying out the 4th axis, let me know. I've always wanted to give one a go. WizMaker positions this machine for small workshops, makers, and university labs, which balance professionalism and cost effectiveness. And I would have to agree. Thanks for watching. And if you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. I've been getting a lot of messages lately asking how I make the things that I build, so I hope this was helpful. I'll leave the full specifications and links in the description so you can decide if this machine is right for you. Thanks for your time.